I'm gonna start it.
Between concrete walls, there's a place for us where we could go, where we could be alone. Between city lights, we don't have to hide. I wanna go, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? I can't understand why we can't hold hands, but they don't know what we have is real love. Aren't you sick and tired of having to hide? I know a place, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow?
What is up, you guys? Welcome to the news. Hello, everybody out there in the world. Can you hear us? Is it working? Blunty, you there?
Hey, how's it going, Joshua?
How's it going, Blunty? Oh, I'm so glad to be back here with you for episode two of many, I hope.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Here to bring the people the news.
We've got to bring in the news, and there's a surprising amount of news this week. Like, I'm so glad you're helping me with this, because when I was coming up with the news, I would be like, oh, what happened this week? And it would be like one thing, and then maybe. But you came up with a ton of things for this week. What are we going to talk about this week?
Well, let's run down the list. We're going to talk about the Liftoff console release.
You can now play Liftoff on your Xbox.
And we might see somebody familiar in that game.
Maybe.
And then we've got Orqa's talking about digital. We'll go over that.
A lot of rumors about Orqa and digital, but something solid this week.
Yeah, we've got a community spotlight. We're going to start featuring somebody from the community every week, one of their projects.
Yeah. Not just FPV videos, by the way. There's other community spotlights out there focusing on videos. Maybe we'll do some of that, but got something a little different.
We're going to talk about the DJI goggle render.
Don't give away, don't spoil it.
Yeah.
There's a new image of the new DJI goggle out there. Is it real or is it just a render?
I guess we'll have to stick around and find it out. We've also got a new DJI controller image.
Is it real or is it just a render?
I guess you'll have to stick around to find out. We're going to talk about quickly RDQSO and the FAA. I want to bring that back up. You made a nice video about that. We're going to talk about the Foxeer camera teaser for the Shark Byte. Looks like maybe something's coming with that.
Yeah, not just a rumor that Foxeer's going to be making a camera for Shark Byte. Yeah.
We've got the Jumper new radio, the T-Lite, maybe. Let's look at that. We've got a little teaser image from that.
Yeah, okay.
We've got Sony. It's talking about getting into drones. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, new drone, Sony.
You've got Terrence Howard has got a contest going on. And that's kind of going on. So we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, you guys may have seen me announce that I will be interviewing the Terrence Howard. I've been surprised. I've been going like, hey, you guys, you know who I'm going to be interviewing on my channel? You're never going to believe it. Terrence Howard. And they're like, who's that? I'm like, you kids these days. Kids these days. Don't know who Terrence Howard is. What's wrong with you? Yeah, and I'm saving that for last because I feel like that's going to be one people are going to want to hear my perspective on it. So I'm saving that one for last. But let us start by... Let's see, what do we got? What do we got in the chat? You look great, ItsBlunty. At Ratfink FPV is very happy to see your face. Everybody on the chat last week was like, your microphone's covering your glorious beard. We want to see you talking. So you've redone your setup a little bit.
Hey, man, we listen to the feedback. We make it happen. So now you can see my face. You can see my shirt. Yeah. Everything's here.
Yeah, I have an idea. People call you the FPV Jesus because of your beard. I don't know if that's offensive to you but... I thought it was I had an idea to do like a votive candle with like, FPV Jesus on. I don't know.
The patron saint of FPV.
We'll probably piss some people off if we did that, but. All right, so let's start. And I want to start with the Liftoff console release. I'm putting this up front because, there we go. I'm putting this up front because this is something that I actually am personally involved with. Liftoff, as you guys probably know, is a simulator available on PC, but they've got Liftoff Drone Racing for the Xbox and the PlayStation. Now, this is not the same app. This is a different app. They didn't just port it over because if you think about it, that wouldn't work real well. And one of the things they've done, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to easily find like a preview. I just found Major Nelson posted about it. So cool, Major Nelson talking about this. But one of the things they've done is they have put a virtual instructor in the game to help, because this is not targeted at people in the hobby. I mean, obviously we'll enjoy it too. It's targeted also at people just who play video games and are like, what is this thing? So they needed somebody to be in the game as a game character and teach them how to fly and like run you through the tutorials. You want to guess who it was?
I think I've heard it's you, man. That's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah, it is. It's cool. I'm bragging a little bit, obviously.
So people are going to learn to fly with you. That's pretty neat.
That's I think so too. Yeah. Liftoff very generously modeled my house in the simulator. It is in the game. I'm 99% sure. To tell you the truth, I started downloading it this afternoon, and then I've been prepping for the live stream and stuff. I haven't played it yet. I'm going to be doing a video about it, but yeah, you can. Check this out. Yes, look at this. Look at this. Hang on a second. Look at this. Boom. Look at that.
Nice.
This artist did this art of me. For that, so I'm going to be in there. I'm going to teach you how to fly. So, now this release has not been without controversy. The big question about it has been, can you use your controller with it?
Yeah, unfortunately, it sounds like you cannot use the controller currently.
Yeah, you cannot.
And they're saying basically the game can support it, but right now the consoles cannot. The way their implementation's working, so
yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't look like that's going to happen. And the one thing I think they're really trying to point out is that they've designed it to be used with an Xbox or PlayStation controller. I mean, they know that you're not going to have a throttle that stays where it's supposed to go. It's going to be springy, so they've built this experience with that in mind.
And I mean, I've tried to play a simulator before with an Xbox controller. You just plug an Xbox or PlayStation controller into a PC. It's no big deal. And I've tried to do it, and it's the gimbals, the joysticks are really not. I mean, they seem good when you're playing a video game, but when you try and fly a simulator, it's garbage.
My first 2 weeks on DRL was on an Xbox controller before I got my first transmitter. And
And
it
then,
definitely gets you into it. You know, you start to understand what's going to happen and how the drone's supposed to move and stuff. But once you finally get a real throttle, it's a big difference.
yeah, Damon Barnes says, I don't know how people are going to be flying using a console controller. It's like playing a racing game with a keyboard. I mean, you are not wrong about that. I think the philosophy of the Liftoff guys, I certainly don't mean to speak for them, but the idea is that if you get people into FPV as a game, it may inspire them to want to get into FPV for real. And so, in the same way that I think we can all agree that a controller is worse than a mouse and keyboard for a shooter, if you got into shooters on console and you played with a controller, then maybe it would help you get into them. And so
Also,
tailored it
like,
that way.
you know, people play shooters all the time, like you said, on a console, and they have aim assist. You know, there's
There you
ways to
go.
make up for this. You know, like you have slight, it pushes you towards the target, and you get bullet grouping and stuff. Like, there's ways to handle this. So
Yeah.
you still get the shooter experience. You still get to play the same kind of game. So
Yeah, those are not Dominator V2s for my model I can't say your name, Evmius LR. Those are not Dominator V2s. Those are my HDOs. That's just how the artist ended up drawing them. So, but anyway, I'm looking forward to trying it out. I hope you guys are excited about it as well. And thank you to the guys from Liftoff for now finally. I'm like, son, do you love me? I'm a YouTuber. And he's like, Dad, you're not a gamer. You just do that drone stuff. I don't care. I'm like, son, now do you love me? I'm in an Xbox game.
it's got to win you some points, right? At some point.
I hope so. Anyway. Oh, so moving on. Orqa confirmed digital FPV is in the works. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's something we heard at the very beginning. You know, we heard that Orqa was going to do digital, and that's, you know, they were ready to do this on their platform, and eventually we'd see it coming. And, you know, now we're kind of getting a better picture of where they're at with it. It sounds like they're quite a ways out. There's a blog post that you guys can read on the orqafpv.com blog.
I have bad news.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. This is the link that's in the show notes. Can you confirm if that link is right?
I think it should be.
Maybe you can't read about it.
Oh, it comes up for me. I don't know what's going on.
Okay, well, hang on. Let me try again.
Okay.
HCPS.
But yeah, so Orqa says that.
All right. I'm going to let you read it. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
so Orqa says that they've got a low latency solution coming out for HD, but it's not that easy. You know, there's a lot of companies with a lot of money behind it. And, you know, I'll just read you the quote here. To be honest, I'd love it if we could simply take the existing HD video tech and build awesome products that will work with it. But because the existing HD system currently out there is being marketed in their closed tech, walled garden kind of way, we now have no choice but to build a better one. Sigh. Smiley face. So it sounds
the
like
Elon Musk approach.
Yeah, it sounds like
well,
they'd
we
like to
wanted
hop
to do
on
this, but no one did, so we had no choice but to go to Mars.
Yeah, we're building a better HD video system, but our system is not going to be closed only for the Orqa ecosystem, and that's a promise. So it sounds like we're getting an open HD video system from Orqa. I think that's super positive for the entire community. 100%.
I mean, to be fair, Shark Byte is also open in that you can use it with any goggle with an HDMI input. So, I mean, it sounds like they're just using HDMI input, although...
Sure, I believe the issue is the camera compatibility and like VTX compatibility. Like you couldn't like install something on a different VTX to use it with the Shark Byte system if you had the right chipset. You know, you can't purchase that wholesale. You also can't just plug any camera into it. I guess Shark Byte's gonna have an approved vendor list of cameras. So that's what they were saying on the RC group. So
correct. I had a problem with my Shark Byte video transmitter wouldn't power up. And apparently if you don't have the camera plug, by the way, I've answered this question 2 or 3 times for people who bought Shark Byte. So quick tip, if your Shark Byte won't power up, reseat your camera connector, both on the camera and on the VTX. Because if the video transmitter doesn't detect an approved camera, it won't power up. And by approved, we don't just mean, because the MIPI interface that it uses is a standard camera interface, but there's like some kind of encryption authentication in the camera. And you can't just get any camera with a compatible plug and it won't work. But it sounds like maybe Orca's not going that direction.
yeah, it sounds like Orqa wants to keep it open. So if that's the case, and we actually get an open HD standard that somebody's like putting money into and maybe multiple members of the community are working on, I think that's pretty positive.
The big question I have about this is how long will it take? And will FPV even still be around in its current form? If it takes them 2 years, Like, who's going to buy it?
Right. It really depends on like how this is going to work out, right? I think a lot of things are like chipset limitations, and how is the video being transmitted, and what's the throughput on like the chipset design and all that sort of thing. So if we can see positive change that direction, and maybe like an open platform for this, where you could develop a better or worse, and it's used on like a processor that everybody has and things like that, maybe they can find a better solution for that.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward. I appreciate the fact that Orqa seems to be pushing to develop their own sort of ecosystem and their own brand. I don't know how much original work they can be doing in this field, because like to do what DJI did, where you create custom ASICs, is so expensive. Really, no one else could do it. But I would love to see what Orqa comes up with. I'm excited. And they confirmed it. No more rumors.
Yeah, it's good to see that for sure.
Yeah. Aber the Ham says, if you have to reseat the Cam VTX connection to get it to power up, what happens if you crash hard? I mean, if you get crash hard enough that it comes disconnected, then you're not going to get back up again. That's true for any connector, though. So
I was going to say that's actually a common problem with the Vista. They seem to come from the factory not super secure, and that seems to be a pretty early complaint. It's like the first connection or the first crash, people have to go in there reseat that connector. So I think it's a problem with all these standards,
Yeah, the big question, I guess, might be if the MIPI connector is going to hold up over time.
Yeah. So. I think that is their custom design. It's like a MIPI standard, but the connector is their own connector. That's what I understand. So
interesting. Scarecrow FPV says, by the way, hello, Scarecrow. I absolutely love my Orcas. My money's on the underdogs. They've done more in a year than Fat Shark has done in 5 years. Oof. Sick burn.
Yeah.
King Sloth, thank you for 55 Norwegian kroner. Yo, the pizza is here. Good. Enjoy your pizza, King Sloth. Don't let us stop you. All right. What do we got next?
So now we'll move on to the community spotlight. So every week, I think we're going to start looking at some different members of the community and some of the projects. A lot of other channels are looking at videos, and I think you mentioned that. I would prefer to not do that, since everybody else is doing that, and look at some projects. Today we're going to look at a project by two people in your Discord, Vashira and Cheetah FPV. And this is a project for the ESC BLHeli 32 ESC tones. So if you make music for BLHeli 32, you can use this tool to map out the tones, and you can hit delete to remove the last notes and stuff, kind of just plot out your notes and stuff. So right now this is pretty early.
They've got keystrokes too. So if you're trying to make your own song,
yep.
And
this is pretty much just to find the notes, so we can figure out like what notes you want to use, and then kind of land them all out, and then you'll just go in and add pauses and stuff. So this is all in development. It's going to be pushed forward in the future, but this is the first time I've seen anything like this for BLHeli 32 ESC music, and I actually have done quite a bit of it lately, so it's pretty cool to see a tool for it.
I'm just playing over you. I don't think you can hear that.
I cannot. But keep an eye on this project. They're definitely working on it. And if you want to see anything for this, I'm sure they're interested in implementing some things here. Maybe they can put a contact on this page for you. And there's a GitHub repo here as well. So
people are saying too loud. It's too loud. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to play meme songs here. Yeah. So somebody in the chat asks, can BLHeli play music? Yeah, it can. You can have custom startup tones for BLHeli, and if you look on YouTube for custom BLHeli startup tones, there are tons of them out there. But if you want to make your own, yeah, you can come up with that. BLHeli S cannot do music. Sorry.
Yeah. You have to custom build BLHeli S to get music.
I was trying to work out Megalovania while you were talking. I didn't realize you couldn't hear it, and apparently I was also blasting the chat. Oops. Is the music app available yet? Cement Kid, yeah, it is. Let me put the link in the. Should put the link in the frickin' stream so you guys can see that. I personally have the Mario startup mushroom. Blunty, what's your favorite startup sound?
I am currently using. I'm trying to remember. I made one of your your intro song. So I was using that.
I heard that.
Yeah, I was using that one for a little while. I'm currently using 2 Chainz I'm Different that I made as well. So
nice. All right. So thank you very much to Vishera and Cheetah FPV for making that. The one feature I asked for, and they said they were going to implement it. So if you want this feature, it's coming, is the ability to play back what you've already done so you could kind of hear it. They're working on that. So that's very exciting. Usually you just have to like feel it out and guess.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I normally sit there with the keyboard on the other screen and I'm trying to like match up the notes and type them out. Yeah, it definitely makes it a little easier. So.
Yeah. All right. The next thing we're going to talk about is one of the most hotly debated. Any minute now, it's coming. I'm loading the page. Hotly debated. Is this the DJI Goggle V2? Is it? What do you think, chat? Is it real? We got to wait a minute for the chat to catch up. Blunty, while the chat's catching up, Claymore FPV says, what is it on Blunty's shirt? Can you show the chat your shirt?
Oh, yeah, for sure. It is Full Send FPV. This is a local store near me.
Nice.
Hold on. Let's see if you can see that. Yep.
Samuel Rivera says, I think under Blunty's beard, there's another beard.
It's just beards all the way down.
Nice. Yeah. So these are not real. They are confirmed as a render, for the record. The big question is, if they were real, would this be better or worse than the actual goggle? Your opinion?
They look lighter. So
They look smaller. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they'd probably be a better form factor. I don't know about the Batman thing going on the top.
It's totally a Batman thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Alpha FPV says, that looks just stupid enough to be a genuine DJI goggle.
Yeah, I think that was kind of what got people. Was,
Oh. Huff19 says these goggles are Emaxes. There's a rumor they're Emax. So these might really be goggles, just not DJI goggles. I don't know.
The guy who posted them said he made them for just for fun, a couple hours at work. So
okay, but from what is certainly a render and not legit to something that might be legit.
Yeah.
Where's the? I'm not in this group. Can I join this group? Can I? Do I have to be approved?
Probably.
Yo, I'm doing a live stream. Let me in. This is not going to work.
That's funny.
No. You got another link to this image somewhere? Hang on, guys.
I can make one. Hold on.
Yeah, why do those goggles have freaking air scoops? Are these air intakes? They could be for fans. Air intakes for fans. It's plausible. Day at the range. Thanks for $10 super chat. Thank you for how you doing, buddy? The way they look from the outside has never been the point, says Aber the Ham. Aber, I'm with you, man. The DJI goggles look kind of dumb on your face, but you know, I don't have to see them when I'm flying. Okay, here we go. This looks legit. I mean, this looks legit. Is that a DJI like Tango controller?
Sure looks like it. X-Lite Tango style. Definitely Tango-ish with the antenna. That's for sure.
Does this guy actually have like a DJI badge on? Like, does this say DJI? I can't get it to
literally
zoom
was
in.
not paying attention to that. I'm not sure.
I don't know what that is.
But it was a post on a Russian Instagram. The guy said it was a DJI employee. Who knows for sure? But you know, I think if you look at this controller, it's clearly DJI. Either somebody's really good at faking stuff, or this is for some product that DJI is coming out with.
Yeah, I mean, like you can see the power up buttons here, right? It just looks.
There's even the lights under the power up buttons, the 4 lights that DJI always has. It's the same QR code and warning label system. It's like the little stick holders that DJI does on some of their devices, in the hand grips, the same color, you know, those sorts of things.
Yeah, I mean, so this is certainly not a render.
And he's
certainly
pinching.
a real product. The big question I think with DJI products is, like, people are passing around photos of the HDMI output box, and the thing is, the HDMI output box has been known to exist.
Right.
DJI did an exhibition race with it. Technically, that was plugged into the goggles with USB. It was not a wireless receiver. The point is, DJI has stuff internally that they don't sell.
Right.
So the fact that it exists doesn't necessarily mean it's for sale. But
Sure.
if it didn't exist, it couldn't be for sale. So this is, I guess, step one.
I would say most of the things they are going to make have an application, though. And we do know the application of the HDMI box was at races to do HDMI, whereas this doesn't really have a application other than let's sell it to consumers, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll see if that comes out. Mr. Funky wants to know when I'm going to do the video for the Fat Shark Attitude V6. Mr. Funky, I'm super busy. The thing, Fat Shark, as far as I know, has not released pricing for the Attitude V6, so it's not really possible to do a review of it yet. Mike could do a first look, but here's a summary of the first look for the Attitude V6. It's 1280 by 960 resolution, the same as the HDOs, the same. I think it's 1280 by 960. Because I'm not 100% sure it's not like 720. Anyway, it's high resolution. It's standard 4:3 aspect ratio, but it's an LCOS screen, liquid crystalline silicon. So it's not going to look as good as the OLED. And I just think in a world where you can get the Eachine EV300O for $450, or the Skyzone Skyo 4X for $500, it's going to have to be either damn good. Don't know the FOV. I mean, I could just look at it and kind of guess. It's less. It's definitely less than the HDO 2, definitely, and the Orqa and the Skyzone Skyo 4X. Definitely less. I don't know the number. It's going to have to come in at, like, if it comes in at a $300 price point, maybe it'll compete with the Skyzone Skyo 2C, but if it tries to be $350, $400, I don't think it's going to be. Yeah. Cutback for. Go ahead, Lenny.
I was just say the goggle market is getting competitive, man. Skyzone putting out those O4Xs, I think, is really going to shake things up quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean the O4Xs. I feel like the O4Xs are as good a goggle as an HDO2, and have a not as good as a rapid fire or a fusion, but a pretty damn good receiver module. I feel like there's a very compelling case for those at $500. And if you really want to, you could just freaking see how passionate I am about goggles. Almost dropped an F-bomb. You could just rip the freaking module out of it and put a rapid fire in, and fine, now you have the best of both worlds. So, yeah.
And you still come in cheaper than an HDO2.
Well, it's $500. What's an HDO? Right. HDO2 is $500 as well.
Oh, okay. That's right. DJI is $520. That's right.
Yes. And then DJI is, yes. So somebody's asking if they can see this image one more time. Let me pop this image up. I'm not sure what you're actually looking for in this image, but what are you looking for in this image? I don't know. Here it is. Can you go back to the photo? Was the channel selection screen on the right? No. The channel selection screen on the goggles is on the left. These look like bog standard goggles. Yeah,
those are totally the V1 goggles.
Yeah. Anyway. All right. Let's see. What is next? DJI. Oh, okay. So, Blunty, you wanted me to mention this. I did a video about Race Day Quad suing the FAA about the whole remote ID thing. I did the video about it, but a lot of people might have missed the video, and so we wanted to put it here in the news just so you get a heads up. I've got a video on my channel, Race Day Quad, the final, that remote ID thing? So that's coming. And Race Day Quads is going to sue the FAA once it finally comes out to try and fight it. Blunty, what are your thoughts about that?
I just want to let everybody know that you made the video. Make sure everybody goes and checks it out. That's any kind of interested in the legal ramifications on drones later, how FPV is going to look. This could shape the industry. It might not shape the industry. Maybe it won't make any difference and nobody will enforce anything. But I think it's good to educate yourselves on what's going on and what's happening and what RDQ is doing to help with it. And I just think it's good for people to check out if they have any interest at all. Yeah.
I mean, I hope something comes of it. Knowing the forces that are at work. No, it's not Red Cat, you numbskulls. Do you think it's so dumb to me when people say, sorry, I'm dragging you into this, Blunty, but there you go.
You're fine.
Just nod along and I'm not touching this with a 10-foot pole if you want. It's so dumb to me when people say, Rotor Riot and Red Cat are behind Remote ID. It's like, do you know who's behind Remote ID? Department of Homeland Security, the Commercial Drone Alliance. Red Cat and Rotor Riot are a speck of dust on the butt of the monster that is driving this. Even if they wanted to ruin the hobby, no one cares what they think. But there are a lot of forces at work, and I hope that a legal challenge like this can at least buy us something.
I think the biggest point to take away here is not that we're going to like suddenly make remote ID go away. I think the idea is that we can find a way to work within this system and get the FAA to move the guidelines in such a way as it's still workable for us as a hobby. You know, I think that's like the world we can see happening possibly. I don't think we'd ever see it totally move away. But I do think there's a chance that we can find some kind of middle ground where we can fly something. You know, they might take away under 250, and then we won't have anything to fly. So, you know, it's just good to keep an eye on everything.
Legally.
Yeah. Right.
Fly legally.
Sure. Yes.
Aber the Ham says Amazon has got to be the main lobby in favor of remote ID. I mean, Aber, you're not wrong. The Commercial Drone Alliance is a big pusher, but I think a lot of people don't realize that Department of Homeland Security is another big pusher. And I'm not going to go into too many details about why DHS would be concerned about regulating drones. If you put two and two together, you can figure it out. A lot of people are focused on the Amazons and Googles of the world, and that is true. But the problem is if you only fight this fight focusing on the commercial aspects, you will be missing at least half of the motivation, and it'll get by you. So, 507RC, good point. The rules may get better or worse as the head of the DOT gets replaced and others. It is certainly possible if there is an administration change or something like that at the executive level, this could be changed. However, you got to keep in mind that this was legislated. The existence of remote ID is required by the FAA Reauthorization Act. So you're probably not going to see this just get wiped away with a pen. What else we got, Blunty?
So Foxeer teased on their Facebook group a little while back what looks to be a Shark Byte camera. We really don't have much more information than the picture that we have here, but we've got #digital on the post, and it certainly looks like a Shark Byte MIPI connector and the same Shark Byte cable that comes with the Shark Byte.
I've got this picture up for the stream. I think that would definitely be a good thing because, frankly, the image from the Shark Byte camera, the Runcam Racer 4, Racer 4 is really tailored for latency, not image quality, and I think it could be better. But the good news is you have the option. Whereas with DJI, I mean, I think it is a pretty good image, but if you didn't like it, you kind of don't have the option to get another camera. So
yeah, I'm hoping we're going to see a lot more of this. It seems like Shark Byte just needs to approve, like, I guess, something about the image or something about the camera, and then it can get on the list. So hopefully we see a bunch hop on the list and there's not too much issue there. I don't know if there's like a licensing fee or some kind of requirements involved, but yeah, hopefully we see more of this.
Yeah, I would love to see a 19 millimeter M12 lens camera with a freaking, half-inch sensor or something, third inch, 1/3, whatever, like the Eagle, like a really high quality one with a good sensor and a good lens, just like really try. I feel like the image, there was a question earlier in the stream, can Shark Byte get better? And certainly one way Shark Byte could get better would be to have a better quality camera. I think there's room to grow there.
For sure.
Awesome. A Day at the Range, thank you for a $20 super chat. Just shipped out the first set of goggles. A Day at the Range is doing a giveaway of some DJI goggles. He's got 2 more to give away over on his channel. So, all right. Good job, Foxeer. Make us a good camera.
Yeah.
For Shark Byte. Show us what it can do. In other new products, this is just an announcement. We have no details about this product, but it is interesting, so I thought we'd mention it. Jumper has announced the Jumper T-Lite, which is a gamepad style radio with a built-in multi-protocol module. I gotta say, I dig the fact that TBS, pay attention. I dig the fact that it has freaking trim switches.
Buttons and trim switches galore.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of buttons, extra buttons. Looks like it has a full complement of switches, trim switches, etc. Who knows how the quality or ergonomics will be, but it is, and it's got a screen, unlike the Beta FPV Lite radio.
I mean, we haven't seen the back. We can hope there's a JR module or JR Lite module bay.
Oh, yeah. I
can't imagine they'd release a radio with that one at this point.
Yeah. I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so price, of course, will be a big determining factor as well.
Sure. Yeah, not much to say about that one, but it definitely seems like a cool new product. So,
What do you think? What do you think's a good price for that?
70, $80, because you have to look at TX16S, right? I think
Yeah.
is like 130 or 120. So yeah, I mean it has to be
What are the
70, 80 with balls. What do you
Let's
think?
assume you want a gamepad controller style, not like a TX16 or a T18 though.
Yeah,
You don't have a lot of options, do you? There's the Beta FPV Lite radio.
yeah.
Um,
Just kind of
whatever
bottom
the
end.
whatever that Hobby King radio is, the frickin', the one. That's not really doesn't
Yeah.
run OpenTX.
X-Lite, which is now all the new
X-Lite.
X-Lites don't do D8, right? So
Yeah.
can't recommend that.
You could do an X-Lite with a multi-protocol module.
Yeah.
What's an X-Lite run though? I mean, X-Lite what's an X-Lite run? It's going to be cheaper than that, clearly. 140 for an X-Lite.
Yeah.
Don't know. Yeah.
I,
So,
I'd like to see this come in at like, 80 or 90, because you can get a full-size TX16S, and there's a lot in that thing with Hall gimbals for like, what, 120, 130. I think, I think this has to be around that price. But if it is, I think it's going to do great. I mean, I would consider getting an extra controller because you can throw it in a bag, Maybe they can
yeah.
figure out folding gimbals or something too. That would be amazing.
507RC, thank you. It's the Turnigy Evolution. That's the radio I was thinking of. It's a decent radio. It's very simple, though. It doesn't run OpenTX. I guess for a beginner, that's good, but I think you outgrow it quickly. Yeah, $90. I think that would kill at $90. I think it would compete well with the X-Lite, especially because you have to put a multi-protocol module in an X-Lite to get D8. So, Jumper, good job. All right, what's next?
All right. So Sony put out a press release. Sony is getting into the drone industry with a brand called AirPeak. And we don't have a lot of information yet. We just have, have a press release from them.
If people look at the web page, it has
we
no
have
information.
a super short video with like a drone motor. That's about all we get. But it sounds like they are trying to get into video creator and entertainment industry. I'll just give you some quotes here. Unprecedented value through its imaging, sensing technology, as well as 3R technologies, reality, real-time, and remote in the drone area. AirPeak will support the creativity of video creators to the fullest extent possible, aiming to contribute to the further development of the entertainment industry with the highest level of safety and reliability in the environments where this has been difficult in the past. So this is kind of interesting. I assume they're talking about giant 55-pound drones you're flying around on a set, and trying to find some ways to make these safer for people to get around that set.
Yeah. So you're thinking that this is not them going up against like DJI in the consumer drone space. You think they're going for the commercial drone space?
I would guess so, yeah. I mean, that's what I read from this. They're talking a lot about AI and sensing and remote technologies and things for a lot of cinematography. So I would say high-end consumer or commercial is probably where this is targeted.
If you look at like the Mavic line, it's got object tracking, collision avoidance, etc., and that's solidly consumer grade.
Sure. I just wonder what they mean by highest level of safety and reliability in environments where this has been difficult in the past. So to me, they're trying to call out somebody, or they're trying to say like, hey, there's a gap we're going to fill.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
So and I know kid thinks they're targeting indoor environments.
Interesting. Very possible. Yeah, I know like RC Test-Lite was talking on Nerk's podcast today about just flying drones over 55 pounds and concerns about size and restrictions from the FAA and things and safety on sets. And it's obviously a lot more expensive to crash a 60-pound drone. So
yeah, very expensive. You don't want to.
It sounds like they're going to launch this project in the spring of 2021, and they are still looking for partners in this. So it sounds like there's going to be Sony and somebody. I don't think we'd see a partnership with DJI, but maybe another.
No. Seems unlikely.
Yeah, maybe another large company or defense industry. Who knows? What'll end up coming out of that.
Yeah, so maybe Skydio.
Yeah, something like that.
Hard to imagine who they would partner with who wouldn't also be seen as a competitor. But
I assume that's why they would absorb them, right? They're trying to find somebody to like get on our train and let us build this.
Yeah, Skydio is one of the few companies out there that makes something that, I mean, I haven't flown a Skydio, but a lot of people who are in that space say that Skydio is one of the true alternatives to DJI.
Yeah, I was going to say that's another thing to consider here is that this is going to be, likely built in the U.S. And so if we see a US-based company do this and they can suddenly sell to the military industry and things that DJI might not be allowed to do, they also might find a big niche there. And I'm sure Skydio is already doing stuff like that, and they would love to hop on that train. So
yeah, it's interesting how, and again, we don't get into politics on my live stream, so keep it in line, chat. But it is interesting how the political landscape changes, and it changes the commercial landscape. That there's the potential for these. There's, you go back so many years or months, and DJI is just the undisputed champion. Everybody in the government is buying DJI drones and using them, and I mean everybody from just everybody, just because they're awesome and they're good and they're useful. Law enforcement, Department of the Interior, everybody. And then suddenly there's this change in the political landscape. And then suddenly there's this opportunity for a company like a Skydio to potentially come in, and Skydio makes great products, but this could be a big opening for them, and maybe Sony's seeing that and moving that direction. For
sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see what Sony comes up with, but we don't know. Ben T, thank you for a $20 super chat. To satisfy remote ID requirements, I'm wondering if it makes sense to build that into GPS units and toss in ADS-B as well into a small compact unit. I have some thoughts about that. Blunty, do you have any ideas about ADS-B and remote ID?
They specifically called out on the NPRM that ADS-B is not an allowable technology for this. I think it was something to do with the effect that there's not enough infrastructure in the United States for the amount of drones that we'd have, so they would crowd out the ADS-B transponder system, and it wouldn't be reliable anymore for the pilots that use it.
Like the full-scale pilots.
Yeah, I will say, though, that like if you look at manned aviation in that last drone action committee that they talked to the FAA about, they specifically said that, like, hey, this isn't going to work for us. Like, the remote ID system you have does not help manned aviation. This doesn't help safety. We need some kind of way to communicate with these quads and know where they are if you're going to do this thing to be safe. And there was no response from the FAA on that.
Yeah, the FAA is like, we need remote ID to keep manned aviation safe. Isn't that right, manned aviation? And manned aviation is like, yeah, I mean, we do like to be safe, but this isn't going to cut it. And the FAA is like, okay, cool, thanks for the support. Moving on. But no, ADS-B won't work. I mean, it would work, but there's thousands and thousands of millions of drones. There's 10 or 100 or more. I don't know the numbers, but compared to manned aviation, ADS-B just can't support every drone in the sky. The other problem is, Ben, is that if you build remote ID into a GPS unit, remote ID does not, as it was proposed, does not let you add it to an existing model. Because if you can add it to an existing model, you can remove it from the model, and they don't want you to be able to fly without it at all. They don't want you to be able to go on the honor system. They want you to not be able to buy or build any drone that is capable at all of not having remote ID. So a lot of people think, well, I guess it's not a big deal. I'll just buy a transponder and stick it on my drone. No, you will not. They will not let that unless they change the rule, but it's unlikely.
Yeah. From the way the DAC has been going, it's not likely, I would say.
No. So cross your finger about those freaking lawsuits. Blind FPV says there's a company in New Jersey called Beagle Drones. Blind FPV. I am very curious about Beagle drones, and I am working on some content about Beagle drones. For the news live stream, I will let slip. I'm working on some content about Beagle drones, but I have nothing more to say about it until for now. So, UAV Tech is in the chat. You know what? You want to know a piece of news? We didn't put this in the show notes, but slap me on the hand for not thinking of this. I'm going to inject it right now. Blunty, have you seen this beautiful website?
Oh, this is a great thing to put on the news. Absolutely. This is awesome, man.
This is UAV Tech's website. What
absolutely.
kind of things has he got up here?
He's got the tuning presets. I think that's a big one. But yeah, he's got all kinds of information here for tuning, man. People always get confused about what do I do with the quad and how do I tune it and I don't know what's going on with Betaflight and what is a black box log. This is your answer to all those questions. UAV Tech knows what he's talking about, and he's got great information for you here on this website, all like categorized and laid out.
Yeah,
and
I'm jealous.
Listed honestly. By drone, and yeah, it's excellent, man.
Yeah, these presets are especially nice. I'm totally glad that I'm a patron of his. So I've earned the right to steal all his information, Because people email me sometimes and they're like, I got a 10-inch, how should I tune it? And I'm usually like, I kind of don't know. Maybe you should talk to Mark Spatz about that. But now I could just be like, hold on a second, 10-inch? Yeah, you're going to want to do this.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, I don't have a lot
right
of patron subscriptions, but that's one of them. UAV Tech is on the list.
So this is his new website, theuavtech.com. Those presets, it's got he's got a tuning service, Blunty, and I actually talked to him about this today. I'm going to send him a quad that I tuned. I mean, I say I'm going to do this. I intend to do this. Who knows if life will get in the way, but I would love to send him a quad that I've tuned by feel and then have him do his PID tune with Black Box and say, well, Bardwell, they were pretty close, but here's what you did wrong. I think that'd be super cool.
I think that's super awesome. Good for everybody to see. Good, good to learn. I think that would be excellent.
What else has he got up here? PID tuning, fundamentals, educational stuff. Yeah, well worth your patronage. He has a lot of free content, but then a lot of his videos he puts up for patrons. If you're looking at these thumbnails and drooling, then definitely check that out. All right. Well, all right. See, I said it. That's his hallmark. He says that. What does that leave us? Only one thing left.
Yeah.
So, Terrence Howard reached out to me. He has a drone that he wants to make, and he wants to do a contest to get people to design the drone, and he's going to be coming on my live stream this Sunday, November 15th at 1 p.m. And I'm going to interview Terrence Howard. So, I guess I just wanted to sort of put that in the news and see what the chat thinks about that. And Blunty, see what you think about that.
I think it's pretty cool, man. I think anything that rates publicity for the FPV industry is pretty neat. And like I think you said before, like the opportunity to give somebody some kind of publicity if they're interested is pretty awesome. I just want to say, like, there's been some people that have an issue with the idea of like an insult or whatever of the contest and the prize and stuff. And, I think it's very easy to not participate in this if you're not interested in the offering. And maybe somebody who doesn't otherwise have an opportunity or know anybody or have any credentials or anything can suddenly come out of the woodwork and be one of the 5 finalists for this thing. And now people know who they are and what they're doing and that sort of thing. So I think there's other opportunities and other things here. And, maybe we'll find out this isn't enough money and maybe nobody will do it. Or maybe we'll see a bunch of cool stuff and that'll be where it comes out.
Yeah, Licenser Drive raises the same issue. Terrence Howard has a net worth of $5 million, according to the internet he does. So why is he throwing pocket change at something he feels so passionate about? That's a good question, License to Drive. And I'm not going to try and answer questions on his behalf, but I do want to acknowledge, I think that people who are like, how dare you even talk to this guy? I thought that, because he's got some pretty wacky ideas about math. Like anyway, you can look up Terryology. Terryology is, and you can read about him. And I think people who are like, how dare you give this guy the time of day, should give me a little more credit, if I could say for myself, that I think that his goal, the drone that he wants to make, the flight controller that he wants to make, is legitimately interesting. And the reasons why he wants to make it, sort of revealing these ultimate truths about the universe, that's not quite where my head's at. I feel like I'm a little more grounded in sort of, I'm on a different chakra level, if you will.
I think we're going to find quite a bit about also on this live stream, like you said. I think that's on the 15th. I think we'll get some of these answers. I don't think you're going to be pulling any punches. No. I think we're going to get some honest information out of this and see where his head's at. I personally will say even the end of the video you did with him was a little confusing because we had no information, but he said something about drones integrating with each other and things. So I'm definitely interested to see where his head's at, where this is supposed to go. Maybe this is just the tipping point and he wants to push this to something big. Maybe that's where the money will come in. Who knows what's going to happen here. So I would love to hear what he has to say.
Yeah. A couple questions coming out. Mr. Funky FPV says, look at the design. Would you race it? The purpose of this drone is not for racing, Mr. Funky. He has a specific idea about what he wants to do with this drone. The Lynchpin shape that is it comes from his philosophy, which again, I'm sort of, down in the lower chakras in my mindset, and he's kind of up here, the upper chakras. But the drone he wants to make, it's an interesting challenge. The other question people have is the money enough? Is the money enough? He offered $15,000. Then he upped it recently to $25,000 in response to people saying, well, maybe it's not enough. There are still people who are saying it's not enough. I don't know. Like, if you're a professional programmer who makes $150 an hour, it probably isn't enough. But maybe the person he's looking for isn't somebody who's going to do it just for the money. I've been impressed with the people who have been exposed to. I brought people into this project who have been completely blown away by it and inspired by it and devoted to it. And to his credit, he still, there's a person I pulled in who took some photographs for the website. And I bet you anything that person would have just done it for free because he just wanted to be a part of it. But I'm pretty sure Terry still paid him for his photographs. So Terry's always been pretty square that way. The question, I guess, is if no one enters the contest, then it will turn out to not have been enough money.
Right.
And if people enter the contest and fail to complete it, it will turn out to not been enough money or time.
It's a self-fulfilling situation. Yeah, somebody feels like it's enough money and somebody feels like it's worth their time, they're going to do that. And maybe they wanted to do it anyway and it'll be extra money, it's definitely a thought idea, that I don't think a lot of people are working on for any reason. So maybe this is a reason to work on it.
Yeah. I will reveal a little teaser for the live stream. Well, one of my goals in the live stream is to bring in other people who can give perspective on this. So I've been talking to different people this week about this, and I got a spontaneous email from a person who claims to be, he emailed me from a nasa.gov email address and said, I work at NASA and I think that what Terry's trying to do is very interesting and I want to talk to you about it. So
nice.
So I don't feel so bad. Well, there was a moment where I was like, he reached out to me and talked to me about it, and I was like, this seems interesting. And then I was like, but the place he's coming from is so unusual and not where I'm coming from. But it seems interesting. And then a freaking astronaut reached out to me and said, hey, I also think it's interesting. And I was like, okay, maybe I don't feel so out in the cold. Who owns the rights to it at the end? The legalese has gone through a couple of revisions. I believe the intent is that in exchange for the prize, you turn over the intellectual property rights, right? That's ultimately what he wants to do, is then take it and do something with it. And if he has to fight you for the IP rights, he can't do that. But what he said, and he rewrote the rules, I think, to reflect this, that in addition to the prize, you would also get royalties on future whatever he does with it in the future. It's
also fair to say that, I don't know anyone who would think that you can design a flight controller like this and it's done.
Exactly.
So, you're not going to be able to he's not going to be able to hand you 25 grand and it's over with. Or he's going to have a product that doesn't work and it doesn't continue to work and all the trouble that happens with it doesn't work and the interfaces don't work. So I feel like this is a relationship that you're going to build. I don't know that, but I certainly can't see how this would happen other than that.
Yeah, no, that is, I mean, again, we'll talk about it in the interview, but yeah. I've asked him, because I want to prep for the interview. I don't want to go in cold. And one way you prep for the interview is to look at the comments and go, okay, what am I going to say about this when this comment comes up on the live stream? And he has said to me explicitly, this is just step one. He's got a place he's going. This is just step one. And obviously the person who wins the contest is going to be not just them, thank you for the money. Thank you. Here's your money. Go away. They're going to be now here's step two. What can we do? Again, I think it's a valid question of why don't you just do a job interview? But I will say this, Blunty, and I'll say this as a compliment to you. It's so hard to find people to fit a certain spot. I saw the videos you were making on your channel, and I saw the things you were doing on the Discord server, and I went, oh, we're going to click. This guy, he and me could click, and we could do something together. And that's not, I don't mean that as, there's lots of people who are helpful in lots of different ways, but for whatever reason, it doesn't feel like you click in the way you want to. Right. And you could have all the money in the world, and not be able to find the person who will click with the problem you're trying to solve. So when you ask the question, why doesn't he just interview people? Why doesn't he just, I feel like maybe the reason he's doing a contest is to put it out there and try and find that person who's going to click with it, which you can't just, that's hard to do because this is a weird problem.
Yeah. And I'll also say, if you guys have these questions, show up on the 15th.
Yeah.
You know, Josh will ask these stuff. So
definitely
we'll find out what he has to say.
My policy is I'm never rude to guests. When the owner of Red Cat came on my stream, I didn't just say, hey, so you're going to sell all our data down the river and screw us, aren't you? I'm not going to be rude to people. Otherwise, they just won't come and we won't get to hear what they say. At the same time, I'm not going to soft pedal and pander. So we'll see how it goes. Isn't he known for going off the rails in interviews, says Jeremy Sarge. I mean, depends on how you define off the rails. But we'll see how it goes. I will say, in the back of my head, when I got the opportunity to do this, I thought, well, what if it goes off the rails? What am I going to do? And then I thought, might not be the worst thing in the world for my channel. But I gotta say, and we'll finish this up. We're almost to the end of the stream. I gotta say, over the course of I've been talking. I was brought in on this project around February, I think. And I've been on a lot of phone calls with him. He is sincerely passionate about this project. And I'm like, shouldn't you be making a movie or something, dude? And he's like, I mean, I don't say that, but this is just, he really is passionate about this and wants to make this happen for his own reasons. And he seems like a very sincere, genuine, guy. So it's easy when you watch an interview, a red carpet interview, to go, oh, there he goes, he's going off the rails, and then get your popcorn. But, you have 50 phone conversations with somebody and you see them as a person and you're like, well, okay, I still think 1 × 1 is 1. But, you can't just dismiss them as a quack.
Yep.
When they're a person.
Also, like, a lot of people who did a lot of great things were also really crazy.
That is true.
So, like, sometimes the crazy comes with the intelligent, or it comes with the interesting, or comes with the special, or whatever. So I think you got to give everybody the opportunity. And, again, like, judge it by what he says, judge it by his answers to those questions, and, like, how he responds to the community's things. He already upped the prize $10,000, which I didn't even realize, which already shows that he has some kind of understanding of, like, hey, I'm not just doing this and I don't care. He clearly wants to get this to happen. So
No, when he was like, oh my God, I didn't know people would respond this way. What can I do to fix it? If I up the money, will that help? Anyway, the bottom line for me is I think this is interesting. I think there's other people out there who will think it's interesting. Whether you agree with his philosophy or whether you just think it's a cool drone project or whether you go, this is not for me, this is a waste of my time. And I have talked to people. I'm not going to name names, but I've reached out to people and go, what do you think of this? And they were like, I have no interest in this. That's cool too. Either way. But some people are. So we'll see how it goes. All righty. That's it. Thank you, Blunty. That's the end of the news.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you guys for coming out. We'll be back next week, 6 p.m. Tuesday. Blunty, it's Blunty, BLUNTY. His channel is in the video description if you want to check him out. Email news at fpvknowitall.com if you have items you think should be on this segment.
Definitely don't forget to email news at fpvknowitall.com. We try to catch everything, but there's always something somebody wants to talk about every week that we might not have on the list. So please make sure you submit something there.
Yeah.
So that we see it.
I got a couple super chats. Thank you for reminding me in the chat. Day at the Range, thanks for $5 super chat. You do you, JB. If it passes your sniff test, that's all I'd need. Yeah, I tell you. I mean, maybe it'll be a disaster, and I'll think it was a terrible mistake, and I should never have done it. But I mean, that's just an opportunity you don't. When Terrence Howard knocks on your door and says, "Can I come on your stream and talk about my philosophy of life?" You say yes. You just say yes, and you figure out what to do from there. Schlop. Nat, thank you for €10. Put my son to bed, went full father mode, and fell asleep beside him for 4.5 hours. Yes, I've done that. I missed Ken Heron's live stream. Ken Heron reached out to me and said, hey, will you come on my live stream? This was months ago. My guest on the live stream is a big fan of yours. I want to surprise him. Will you come on my live stream, call in, and then, just say hi to him? And I was like, yes, Mark, I'll do it. I put my son to bed. I fell asleep next to him, and I woke up a half hour till the end of his live stream and called into the live stream still barely awake. And was like, oh, I'm so sorry, Mark. Anyway. Nadiesel Girl, thank you for a $20 super chat. Do you have any issue with Terrence's history of violence against women? When I raised this in the comments, it seems people are pretty okay with violence against women, up to including telling me to F off. Nadiesel Girl, I am completely opposed to violence against women. I will not make any excuses for anybody who does that. You probably don't recall this, but I made a big public post when a prominent female racing pilot accused another pilot of sexual harassment, and I stuck up for her very publicly. I'm not trying to say, so I should get a pass. I'm just saying that this is not just words, that I have put action behind them in the past. I don't know a lot about that. I don't know a lot about that, his specific history, what that might be. So I don't have a problem. I don't not have a problem. I really feel like that's kind of news to me. I also know that you can look. I don't know how much credibility to put behind any of that, to tell you the truth. He's a celebrity. There's a lot of stuff out there. I don't know what is an allegation, what is true. I just know what's in front of me and the evidence that I have in front of me, and that's what I'm operating on. So I feel like that is that if I felt like I was confident that there was something morally repugnant about a person, and I would find, not just, violence against women, but if you go around to bars and beat people up, I find that I'm like, that's just not okay. Then I might decide not to have him on my stream, but I don't feel like that he has crossed that into that position for me, so that's where I'm at. Yeah. Anyway, that is going to do it. Thank you for the $20 super chat, Diesel Girl. That's going to do it. Wait, Michael Gap, thanks for $10. Hearing about everything with the FAA and RemoteID, or how often do hobbyist flyers actually get in trouble with the law, aside from being blatantly irresponsible? What do the repercussions look like? They get in trouble when someone reports it. Someone is mad at you because they don't like what you're doing, so they report it, and sometimes the FAA notices. That's usually how it happens. The repercussions look like fines on the order of thousands to tens of thousands of dollars. Yeah.
I think
Alrighty,
I think it's something to point out real quick that just historically, one of the most famous videos on all of FPV got a fine.
Paul Nurkola's product.
Yeah,
Flight of
Paul.
the year.
Yeah, Nurk had a flight of the year with the train video. I think a lot of people show that to people, got into FPV because of that video, and that video received a large fine from the FAA because it was reported. So
yeah. Martin Gates says Terry apparently apologized for it, so there must be some truth behind it. Well, if there was truth behind it, but then he apologized and he became a different person, should we forgive him? I'm not going to put myself in a position of being the judge of that. It doesn't mean that I would never put myself in the position of being the judge of that. Like, I wouldn't have R. Kelly on my stream. Just F that guy. But I just got to just see what's in front of me and make a decision, and that's where I'm at. Anyway, let's go out on a positive note. Good call. Thank you for a $2 super chat, Jeremiah Blackwell. Jeremiah Blackwell gave a $2 super chat because he wants you to know about FPV Exchange. Buy and sell your gear with confidence. Now, a lot of people go on FPV Marketplace on Facebook, but not a lot of people like to use Facebook. This is pretty cool, actually. In fact, who was telling me about this? It was somebody this weekend. Maybe Ciati was telling me about it. Basically, you can log into this site. I'm not logged in. And it will pull your purchase history from race day quads, etc., 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 all these Shopify sites, it pulls your whole purchase history from the site, and then you can mark any item you still own as for sale to anybody. And then if you are like in Atlanta for the weekend and you're like, oh, I need a flight controller, you can look on FPV Exchange and see who nearby to you purchased a flight controller. It's all voluntary, but it is a way to buy and sell FPV stuff. It's pretty slick, and it's fpvexchange.com, and that's the note we're going to go out on a positive note. Blunty, thanks for being here, man. We will see you guys next week, 6 p.m. That's going to do it for the stream right now.
Cool. Thanks a lot, guys. Take it easy.